Thank you, Madam Chair. Earlier this fall, our committee held a hearing to consider legislation that would protect consumers and small businesses from abusive debt collection practices. I shared what is the story of millions of families taking pride in paying bills on time, just to be sidelined by an illness or a job loss, working harder and harder, but no matter how hard they work, continuing to owe everybody, the utility company, the landlord, the bank, everybody. Feelings of shame, judgment, and vulnerability were reinforced by unceasing collectors hell-bent on recouping debt they purchased for pennies on the dollar. Last month, we had the opportunity to hear from CFPB Director Kraninger on a host of issues, including the agency's proposed debt collection rule. I, along with the chairwoman and Rep. Porter, have made our concerns about this proposed rule well known. In my exchanges with the director, it became clear that we could not reasonably depend on the CFPB to produce a rule informed by and concerned with those most impacted, everyday working Americans and families being pushed further into despair. In lieu of agency rulemaking that actually protects consumers from abusive debt collection practices, I introduced the Ending Debt Collection Harassment Act, legislation to restrict collectors from weaponizing new forms of communication and ensures that consumers have all the information they are entitled to. Specifically, my bill would prevent debt collectors from harassing consumers with unlimited electronic communication, including texts and emails. Additionally, it requires that debt collectors provide consumers with clear disclosures of their rights and a simple way of opting out of electronic communication. Finally, this bill improves reporting on consumer complaints against debt collectors by requiring a state-by-state breakdown of complaints and additional data, specifically on the use of electronic communication in harassing consumers. This common-sense legislation has the support of the National Consumer Law Center on behalf of its low-income clients, Americans for Financial Reform, as well as the National Association of Consumer Advocates and the Center for Responsible Lending. I also want to thank the many colleagues, Rep. Meeks, Cleaver, Tlaib, Ocasio-Cortez, Lynch, Adams, Garcia, and Foster, who have already supported this important bill. In a world where folks are priced out of the most basic goods and services, no one should be forced to live with constant harassment because they simply cannot afford otherwise. I urge the remainder of my colleagues to support this bill, and I yield back.